Hello everybody, it's Russ here from TMOF Wrestling, and today we are going to be reviewing Pro Wrestling Noah's very first event of 2023. The new year 2023 is held from the Budokan in Tokyo, Japan. At some point in the show, they do mention on commentary that it is around about 10,000 people that are there at the venue for this event. Varies on the internet. Wikipedia says 9,500, but who trusts Wikipedia? Airing on Abema TV in Japan, and of course for the rest of the world, and including myself, on Wrestle Universe. I have very recently subscribed to Wrestle Universe because I wanted the Pro Wrestling Noah content as well as DDT. My very first review, and what I wanted to do in the new year, was take a wrestling company that I am not really too familiar with and really deep dive into it throughout the year and see if I can get myself invested. So why Pro Wrestling Noah? Well, the answer is quite simple, and it does have absolutely everything to do with one of the build main events for the show, which is of course Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Great Muta in what's essentially going to be the Great Muta's final singles match. When the news broke that Shinsuke was going to be allowed to go to this event and wrestle for Pro Wrestling Noah, obviously whilst being under contract with WWE, this was really big news. It's not something that happens a lot. So I've always been aware of Pro Wrestling Noah. This is now, I think, the best time to get involved in it. It sparked a lot of curiosity across the globe because of Shinsuke's involvement with the show. And January, just in general, I think is a very good time to get yourself into Japanese wrestling. But this show in particular did have my intrigue, and so I will ask everybody watching just to go a little easy on me, because I've not done this before on my own, so this could honestly be a train wreck. Also, disclaimer, I am going to try very hard to pronounce all of the names correctly. I've watched the show, I've not long finished watching the show, and outside of a few people that I obviously already knew going into the show, there's a lot that I don't. So I really wholeheartedly apologise. I don't mean to mispronounce names, but it is going to happen. As you probably tell, I won't go through like move for move. I know a lot of reviewers will do that sort of thing. These will improve over time. And maybe I will sort of do that sort of thing if that's kind of what people want more in these videos. I've always kind of like looked at it more as just giving you the things that I've noticed the most, liked the most, and just whether or not I've enjoyed it or not. So January 1st, 2023, the new year 2023 from Pro Wrestling Noah takes place, as we say, from the Budokan in Tokyo. I, of course, watched this with the English commentary, which is available on Wrestle Universe. The commentary team for it was Stu Fulton, Mark Pickering, and from the second match was Paul Lazenby. You may be familiar with the name from Deadpool, and I think a couple of other things as well, TV series. So we'll begin with the very first match. There isn't really a lot to say about this one. It is quick. It's around 4 minutes. We see two of the younger talents in Pro Wrestling Noah take each other on. It's Yasutaka Yano taking on Taishi Ozawa. It's very quick. A bit of back and forth, but really, they run to the ring in their entrances. That tells you probably all about as much as you need to know for this one. Match ends when Yasutaka hooks the leg of Taishi, flips him over for the fisherman suplex. 1, 2, 3. That one's in the books. As I say, it's alright, but it's just, it's just sort of there. Next up, we have one of 3 consecutive 6-man tag team matches, and this is where this is about to go downhill. From me, not the match wise, but just this is a lot to say. Daiki Inaba, Masa Kitamiya, and Yoshiki Inamura take on Akitoshi Saito, Mohamed Yone, and Shuhei Taniguchi. I'm really sorry. The former defeat the latter here. Again, this was quite a quick match for a 6-man tag team match, only clocking in at around about the 9-minute mark, maybe just under. Not an awful lot happens in this one. There wasn't really anything that blew me away. I don't mean that in a bad way, but again, quicker matches. One thing I will say is that Masa here actually I was really impressed with Masa, so I'm not familiar with Masa's work. But I definitely will be checking out more of him. The Japanese style, of course, is strong. It's a strong style. It's what it's renowned for being, and it is what is so compelling, I think, for us over in the West. Masa, though, even within that strong style, just stood out to me, and he just seemed super hard-hitting. He looked hard, he looked tough. Everything he did looked believable, and he was a standout for me. This match, as I say, it was alright. It was okay. And just like that, we're on the third match of the evening already. It's another six-man tag team match. Alejandro, Dante Leon and Ninja Mac taking on Congo members High 69, Shuji Kondo and Tadusuke. This one even shorter than the last match. We're getting some real quick-fire bouts to kick this show off. Only just over 8 minutes, this one. I did enjoy this one, surprisingly actually a little bit more than the other one. I think everybody had a bit more of a chance to shine in this one. Ninja Mac, they said he's a real ninja. Is that right? Is he a real ninja? Because if he is, then that's cool as shit. The story really here seemed to be focusing more on Dante Leon and I suppose, a change that's happened with his character over the recent months, potentially longer. He was the standout here. He is the person that picks up the win for the team. He was definitely one of the smaller guys in the match. They definitely play that into the match itself. I am interested in seeing a lot more of all of these guys. This match had a bit more of a story going on, which I always respect and appreciate. That's what I look for more in wrestling, is the story. So it doesn't always have to be a big 5-star match. It doesn't have to be a half an hour long banger. I just want to be entertained, and I like seeing some story. It was fairly easy to follow for a new sort of viewer. Another 6-man tag team match coming up now. Fourth match of the evening, we see Masaki Mochizuki, Suzumu Mochizuki, and Suzumu Mochizuki Jr. taking on El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Is that right? Atsushi Kotoge and Saiki Yoshioka. The Mochizuki family pick up the win here. These guys have come over from Dragon Gate. Again, another promotion that I used to watch a bit more of years and years ago, but the product is probably completely different now. They mentioned on commentary for this match that Masaki, who's the senior of the team, this was his 2,400th match, which is crazy. So I did look up a little bit about him. Looks like he started his career in 94. You might have to fact check that one. That could be wrong. One of the things about this in particular, so Masaki even in general, so the guy's in his 50s. Definitely doesn't look it, which is amazing. So whatever cream he's using, I want that now. I enjoyed this one. It's still on the shorter side, but it is the longest match so far in the card, around about 10.5 minutes. But seeing the different generations teaming together, it's a hard-hitting match. It's everything that I would have expected for a Japanese wrestling match to be within that amount of time. It's enjoyable. From this point though, things are really picking up. We trade the 6-man tag for an 8-man tag team match, and this one has a mystery partner situation, which it turns out to be really awesome, but I was super confused. For the 5th match of the evening, we saw another iteration of Congo. This time the team comprised by Katsuhiko Nakajima, Masakatsu Funaki, Manabu Soya and Hajime Ohara, taking on Kazuyuki Fujita, Kendo Kashin, Nozawa Rongai, and the mystery partner. So they come out with this guy who he's wearing the mask, and you could see through the eye bits that he wore glasses. And I was like, who's this? And it was just really strange, because obviously I'm relying on the commentary team to be able to kind of talk me through what's going on, especially because I have no idea who any of these people are, right? Apart from Funaki, I'd seen a little bit of Funaki stuff. Even on commentary, they were really confused. It was just this, is he the mystery partner? No, maybe he's not. Then the lights go out, and then there's this whole kind of thing, and then the music's playing, and it was just so bizarre. Like it was really strange. But even, I suppose, if the commentary team didn't know what was going on, it made me feel a bit better about the situation. But it was quite strange. Even the teammates were trying to pull his mask off, and it was really weird. But he was not the mystery partner, thank goodness. The mystery partner was actually really cool. This is one of my top moments of the night, as I'm sure it is for everybody else. The mystery partner was, of course, Hiroshi Hase, the inventor of the Northern Lights suplex. I'll be honest, I knew the name because of knowing who invented the move, because I'm kind of like a nerd with that kind of stuff. But I'd not really seen too much of, again, him wrestling or anything like that, and I certainly wasn't aware that he was still an active wrestler. So yeah, this was really cool. His entrance music also, I'm pretty sure, I think that was probably my favourite from the whole night from everybody that was on the card. It's a banger, absolute banger. This match really does pick up now, and I really did need that now at this point in the card. Everything sort of felt like, it's enjoyable enough, but there wasn't really anything really pulling me in. This one felt like the first match that was really starting to actually kind of take hold and sort of get me into what I was watching. Jushin Thunder Liger, obviously, he's down on a commentary as well. I'm assuming it's like a commentary position that he takes up there. Threatens to get involved at one point. He stands up and there's a bit of beef between him and Kongo. I mean, they had me going for a moment, but nothing does come of that, but it is a cool little moment. Hase as well, this is crazy for me to think this, but like I'm pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a lot to correct in this one. I'm pretty sure he's like a politician, or he worked for the Prime Minister or something like that, or he still does. They allude on commentary that he's got an office job, so I don't know if they're referring to that, but yeah, this is crazy and it's insane. What really is insane is the idea that Hiroshi is 60 plus years old, and he just doesn't look like he is in this match. He takes a lot of punishment. There is a point in this match where I feel like it went on for minutes, but it's just constant landing of kicks. When you talk about legitimate tough guys in wrestling, like that for me, that's like an epitome of what that would look like. The guy was unreal, an absolute stud. This match clocks in around about the 16.5 minute mark, and Hiroshi Hase's team do pick up the win here, and of course it is with the Northern Lights suplex. That was really awesome. I really did enjoy seeing that, and again, a first for me to actually watch him compete, and especially when I didn't even know he was an active wrestler anymore. This is such a learning curve for me today. I'm learning so much. Also probably going to get more names wrong. Well, here's two names I definitely won't get wrong, or at least I say that now. Jack Morris taking on Timothy Thatcher. So Timothy Thatcher, of course, I was aware of already because of his time in NXT. I wasn't aware of what he was doing after, so this was really cool to see that he's here and he's still kicking ass. Now, speaking of kicking ass, that is what Timothy Thatcher does for 12 minutes, which is around about what this match clocks in at. He just kicks Jack Morris's ass for 12 minutes straight, pretty much in this match. It's a much slower paced match, so although it's around about 12 minutes, obviously because of the style, if you're familiar with Thatcher's style and how he works the body parts and things like that, it definitely is a change of pace at this point in the show. I'm not sure how other people might kind of react to that. I'll admit it's slightly jarring, but I do really enjoy that type of wrestling. The only reason I think it probably jarred me a little bit is because we had all these quick fire bouts, and then I find it, the match before this I really felt kind of engaged in. And this one just sort of slowed it down a little bit before we sort of got going again. This match though, it is very impressive. It's just wrestling, pure wrestling, pretty much at its finest. Couldn't really ask for more based on the type of match it was. It is very good. Jack Morris does pick up the victory here. I got to admit, I did chuckle because it just, there are points I'm looking away from the match, especially when they're in sort of like rest holds and things like that. But to me, it just felt like he did nothing for the whole match, and he gets away with just a quick roll-up, which is essentially just what happens here. Somebody does come out at the end of this one as well. Unfortunately, I did miss that. I was in the middle of doing something else at the time after this match had ended. So, but this seemed like it was a fairly big deal. I heard the commentators saying that the crowd were going wild for it. Or at least I suppose as wild as they can, because they're not allowed to make any noise. Fun fact, Thatcher came out to Gunter's music, which means Imperium confirmed. Now though, we get into the title matches, and this is where this really picks up for me now, because this is exactly the sort of wrestling I love. GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship is on the line in this one, when champion Amakusa looks to retain against Junta Miyawaki. This match was awesome. I love this match. This was really good. This one clocks in around 15 minutes, but this felt like it did everything possible with the time that it was given. I honestly had a blast with this match. There were certain spots in this match though that honestly blew my brain. There's a point in the match where Amakusa does a dive through the middle rope, and it just defies all physics. It defies all logic. He kind of just does the dive through the middle rope, and somehow whilst facing downwards, he spins and does a backflip and just ends up on the barrier. I don't even know, how do you even do that? Another point a little bit after this, Miyawaki does an arm drag from the apron to the floor to Amakusa, and that looked, I mean, he sells it really, he's selling it like he's out of breath. That is absolutely, for me, that is genuinely, that is such a difference maker. It shows in a match when people sell the things that they don't usually sell. Like, people don't usually sell being out of breath, from landing. I mean, maybe it wasn't a sell, maybe he was just winded, but it felt authentic and it felt real. And this one had me from bell to bell. I was interested to see what the result would be here. Amakusa does retain this one. I would absolutely recommend checking this one out. Really, at this point now in the whole, from the title matches onwards in the show, everything is worth watching. But yeah, this was a super strong match and definitely my favourite up to this point in the night. GHC Tag Team Championships are on the line next. Takashi Sugiura and Satoshi Kojima look to retain against Kenta and Naomichi Marufuji. This one was brilliant. This was so good. Now, Kojima I was aware of when I'd seen him very briefly. The name I've heard for like a long time, but the first time I'd actually seen him wrestle was when he'd come over for the match against Jon Moxley in AEW, and I knew from that it was a good match, but I knew that there was probably more to it than that. And I think unfortunately that's just the way it seems to sort of be. I don't want to get into all of that now, of course, but it just seems that a lot of interpromotional talents just don't necessarily get the chance to shine all the time there. And I thought that was probably going to be the case with Kojima, and boy was I right. Kojima in this match is a beast, and Sugiura as well. Sugiura. I will get better. The champions, here they are. They're just beasts, the pair of them. Kenta. It's funny with Kenta because the last time I'd seen Kenta was Wrestle Kingdom last year, and then I see him here. And he's got this lovely flowing hair, and it's so beautiful. It's lovely. No, Kenta was on fire for this one, and I mean, Kenta's great. Definitely the smaller man in the match, but they mentioned this on commentary. But he doesn't wrestle like a small man. Like, he wrestles like a beast himself. This is really hard hitting between him and Sugiura at one point. They also do mention this on commentary, and it was evident watching the match, but there was a point it was almost like two different matches going on, and there was basically a singles match going on just with Kenta and Sugiura, which, for my money, from what I saw in that tag match, I'd watch that. Again, I don't usually go through absolutely everything step by step of what happened in a match, just to pick out big key moments for me, and the biggest moment in this particular match was the brainbuster from the middle rope. It's crazy, it looks incredible, and it's just super impressive that, again, like, they're just beasts, absolute beasts. The tag team champions retain in this one when Kojima picks up the win for the team after hitting 2 lariats. The first one was incredibly ugly, but just so satisfying to look at. It was refreshing for me to be able to see Kojima really kind of get a chance to shine properly and on a proper stage, and I think to a degree in front of people that are probably going to appreciate it more. They do tease at the end of this match as well, a bit of a handshake, but it does not happen. No respect given yet from Kenta and Marufuji to the tag champions, but I guess we'll see maybe if anything happens down the line. Next up is the GHC Junior Tag Team Championships. They are going to be put on the line by defending champions Yohei and KZY. Is that right? They're taking on Yoshinara Ogawa and Elta. Both of the teams, from what I understand from the commentary, are very new. They're newly put together. We get new champions in this one. So Yoshinara Ogawa and Elta walk out the victors. They walk out the champions. It seems as though there's going to be a story with this going down the line. But most of the story during the match was whether or not Ogawa and Elta could coexist as a tag team. So it seems that they've been feuding for some time, or at least to the latter point of last year. So be interesting to see what they do with this one. This was quite a long one, came in around about 19 minutes. It's a good match. It is on, ironically, a bit on the long side compared to what was on the undercard for this one, but this one is quite enjoyable. Also, it's quite nice to see a championship change hands. So it's just whether or not now it will happen in the next match, which is, of course, for the GHC Heavyweight Championship of the World. It is Kaito Kiyomiya taking on Kenoh. Kenoh is the challenger here, looking to dethrone the champion. I'm aware of... I've watched a fair bit of Kenoh's work. It seems as though these two have had history before, which was new to me, so I was grateful for the commentary team to sort of fill me in on a bit of the backstory there. This match, what can I say about this match? This had just about everything you needed, and this is exactly the sort of match that I expect almost when you're looking at like a big main event match in Japan. It was top notch, top draw. A line in here that absolutely finished me was from Stu Fulton on commentary when it was an absolutely crazy move that had been pulled off, but I think Kaito takes Kenoh out on the apron. It was Kenoh had done it to Kaito. It was like a Falcon Arrow, but it was like from the turnbuckle onto the apron, and it kind of looked like a Falcon's Arrow type deal. And he hits the apron hard, man, and it really does look like it sucks. In a good way. Like the move looked amazing, but yeah, it looked rough. But Steve comes out with, I don't know, maybe this is like a recurring thing, but it did me. He just goes, he needs to be put on trial for attempted murder. I'm not Scottish, but I did my best. I've butchered all the other names in this, so I might as well butcher the Scottish accent as well. Like I said, this match, it was just high octane, especially as we got to sort of the closing segments of this match. It really picked up another notch, but it's essentially the story towards the end is Kenoh has everything thrown at him except a kitchen sink, really, at this point. Kaito hits him with a Frankensteiner. This is quickly kicked out of, and then Kenoh locks on the sleeper hold. The crowd are really, really into it at this point, as am I watching at home. Kaito gets to the ropes, breaks the hold. From here out, it's pretty much just all Kaito on Kenoh, just trying everything to keep the man down. He hits two Shining Wizards. The first one did look a little, you could see that it kind of gone over the head, but the second one absolutely connected. Still wasn't enough to keep Kenoh down. A Poison Rana, which is, no matter how many times I see it, it's still a really, really just amazing move. Like, I just love the Poison Rana. It's great. Still not enough to keep Kenoh down. So Frankensteiner, two Shining Wizards, and a Poison Rana. Kenoh is still in the fight here. Then there was something, I've never seen this before. And when this happens in wrestling these days, because you kind of you feel like you've seen everything, like in terms of moves and whatever. When you've been watching for, like a long time, like we're talking like for myself, it's 20 years of watching wrestling, and you kind of feel like there's not an awful lot of like new moves left to see. But I'd never seen this before. It was like I think they called it like a modified like Tiger Bomb type thing, but essentially Kaito goes up behind him and hooks the arms, and then kind of I don't really understand how it works. It doesn't make sense. It was amazing though. Spins him, drops him down in like a Tiger Bomb kind of position. Still not enough to keep Kenoh down. This match continues on. Finally though, Kaito does get the win. He hits a third Shining Wizard. This is enough to seal the deal and put Kenoh away. The end of this match really felt like the two had gone to war with each other. As I say, this is exactly the type of title match, big, top of the card match that I would want to see. And I think it's worth the price of admission really on that match alone. Really, really outstanding match. Finally, the second main event of the evening. Obviously, we have the double main event. The title match was the first one. We now have Great Muta's retirement match, or the Great Muta character retiring from singles competition. This is the last time we'll see the Great Muta compete in a singles match. It is, of course, against WWE's Shinsuke Nakamura, who gets the full-on entrance, gets his WWE music with the violin. They even had the guy come out playing the violin. But before we see him, we see the traditional, the Daiko drum, and everything just went together really well. I think as soon as the crowd saw the Daiko drum and they realised, like, oh, this is going to be a really big, grand entrance, there was some audible gasps. There had been some audible gasps through the night. Obviously, again, crowd's not allowed to make much in the way of sound. But this got a pop from the crowd from what I could see. Shinsuke comes out and he's clad in this sort of white attire with a hood. Kind of struggles to get it off at one point, but it looks incredible. Great Muta also has his entrance. He has flames coming up. The whole thing had big fight feel written all over it, and it really did feel like a big deal. As I say, this was the match that got me to want to put a subscription in and actually, kind of start paying attention to Noah on a more permanent basis. So, hats off to him, literally, because it worked. The match itself, though, obviously we do begin. Shinsuke takes off the robe, and he's got the kind of the full sort of outfit that he kind of wears in WWE, but it had the kind of pattern and colours for Muta on there, and this whole thing was just the match almost was secondary. Like they could have probably easily have just phoned this in, and I don't think anybody really would have had too much of an issue with it. But they didn't. Like, this was genuinely a really, really good match. I think for a lot of people, from what I've seen, this is probably the match of the night for them. It's definitely the right way to close the show. The match is awesome. It goes on for quite some time. The only things for me was a little bit that there was a bit of some points with Muta, like looking around the ring, like looking under the ring, trying to find weapons, and that sometimes took me out of it a little bit because it kind of went on a little bit too long, and sometimes it just felt like it was in really odd places. It's nitpicking, and I'm not a wrestler, so what do I know? All right. A couple of weapons being used. Obviously, it's Muta using the chairs, and he uses, I think, it's like the stand that they put the belts on during the title matches when they're in the kind of the neutral space. It's not enough though, but Muta brings out the Asian mist. There's a red mist that he hits first. There's the black mist. He's got the green mist in there, and this is where the tables really turn in favour of Shinsuke. There's this crazy, surreal moment of Shinsuke knows that Muta's about to hit him with the green mist. So Shinsuke just locks lips with the great Muta and sucks. He sucks the mist from his mouth. Wrestling, man, what can you do? He sucks the mist from his mouth and right into Muta's face, and that is pretty much the downfall. Then within seconds, Shinsuke's hit the Kinshasa, and that's a 1-2-3. The match is done. Shinsuke emerges victorious. I think that there was probably not really much doubt that Great Muta was going to kind of go out on his back. For this one, it's a pass on the torch. As we say, this is the first ever meeting between Shinsuke and the Great Muta, and it's going to be the only one. It'll be interesting to see maybe if it'll mean anything when he goes back to WWE. It's kind of hard to tell. He's not really a featured personality on the WWE product, but you could really tell how much this whole thing meant to him, being there at Pro Wrestling Noah and being on that stage in that venue and up against one of the greatest performers of all time to emerge from Japan. So yeah, the whole thing felt super special. It really did feel like a real moment. Shinsuke is he's celebrating in the ring. Muta's walking up the ramp, but Shinsuke catches up to him. They kind of put their arms around each other and they leave together, and it's a nice way to close the show. The problem is what happens after at the press conference. I don't really know what to say. Muta makes bad comments about Shinsuke and the spot where he sucks the mist from his mouth, and they're pretty homophobic. If this is enough to derail Great Muta, Kenji Muto's sort of last run before he officially retires, it's going to be a massive shame. There is certainly a lot of people, and rightly so, that are very unhappy with the comments he made, and they're not comments that I'll be willing to say on here. But yeah, I mean, they're really just 2023. It's just not cool. It was a weird way to end it on. For some people, it certainly has soured the ending of that show. It's one of those, I think you do need to just take the show for what it was. It was a really good show. This happened after the show. You can't let the whole show be watered down off of the words and actions, as stupid as they were, from one person at the end of it in a press conference. AEW knows all about that. one thing I will do, so with reviews that we've done in the past on the podcast, the other guys will go through the star ratings the traditional way. I sort of have a bit of fun with it because, I mean, it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day anyway, does it really? But I would go for trophies. But what I'm going to do this time is that some matches, there could be 3 matches have a bronze, a couple have a silver, could be a few have a gold or whatever. But I'm going to change things up. I'm changing it up. I'm going to make things difficult for everybody, including me. What I'm going to do with the trophy system, there's going to be a bronze match, a silver match, a gold match, and if there was any match that really blew me away, it will get a platinum, and that's how it will be going forwards. Disclaimer for this one, no platinum, but the gold certainly does go to the GHC Heavyweight Championship match. I think that, personally for me, that was my favourite match on the card. As I said, had everything that I wanted in it. That's the gold. The silver does go to Shinsuke versus Great Muta. It was a really, really good match. The argument can be made, obviously, that is the match of the night, and I completely agree and understand people's take with it. As I say, for what I was looking at, I was just more surprised by that heavyweight title belt, considering that I've come in with this with a really fresh pair of eyes, so, that just sort of blew me away. The bronze, I think, does go to the tag title match. As I say, Kojima particularly was an absolute beast throughout that match, and that tag match really gripped me. But there's certainly a lot of solid matches on this card. I think it is worth checking out. I'm really glad that I've taken the dive into pro wrestling, Noah, and I'm looking forward to doing more reviews. Now, obviously, as time goes on, I'm certainly hoping to improve on the quality of the review. It's the first one, so teething problems and all that. We will get there. I would like to take the opportunity to thank you all for checking the video out and checking us out in general. So there is more content on the YouTube page. You can have a little scroll through. You'll find all sorts of different bits and pieces on there. And of course, we have the podcast itself, which is TMOF Wrestling, the Pro Wrestling Roll-Up. You can find that on all major podcasting platforms. If you listen on Apple or Spotify, you can leave us a 5-star review. But don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, share, and all the other lingo and jazz, whatever it may be. And wherever you are, I hope you're having a brilliant day. And make sure to stay safe, look after each other, and I will catch you very soon. When is the next one?